Hey guys, welcome back. So this video is actually going to be on teaching Battletech. It is one of my favorite aspects of playing Battletech, and it also provides you a nice little break when you're playing consistently. The game's really figuring out lances, things like that. It can turn into a little bit of a grind from time to time. So it's nice having games where you can teach, you can provide demos of it, and just really show players what's going on, and if they are interested in joining up, it gives them a real simple avenue into it and confidence that they can figure it out. One of my favorite things I like to say is if you can add numbers between 1 and 6, you can play Battletech. So, one issue that a lot of modern board games experience, tabletop war games, things like that, is large rule books. We are definitely aware of that. As far as Battletech goes, you have your standard rulebook, which is Total Warfare. But you have this nice simple one, the Battle Mech Manual. It covers the mechs, the main reason that all of us are even in this game. You can see it's a nice thin book. By comparison, of course, we have Total Warfare, and we'll see that it is a bit larger. So it's good to have them both handy at the game where you're showing someone how to play, but you'll typically just want to say, hey, Battle Mech Manual is all you need. Just keep it simple. We've all seen the collections that have the book bindings of, Total Warfare, TAC Ops, and so on. The next thing that would be good to have is actually going to be an area where you can show players beyond what you're teaching them. And that's, of course, going to be technical readouts, or TROs for the newer players. This one's a good one. This is one of the most recent ones. This is going to be showing mechs from multiple technical readouts that are currently out of print. You have a little bit of an older aesthetic on some of them, and then on others, you'll have brand new ones. You have a Delore right there. What's cool about this book is it'll give them a chance to read a little bit of the lore. It'll give them a chance to read about unique pilots and about, maybe different variants. Perhaps they'll see a gun that they ask about that really piques their interest. The Gauss rifles, it's a real gun. A lot of people love that when it comes to science fiction, military, things like that. But they can see a wide variety of images, different mechs, things like that. Let's say the mechs that you picked out to bring to the game, they don't really fancy. They might find something here that really grabs them. So it's good just to have maybe a technical readout, something they can look at, so they can see a little bit more without having to go home and research and things like that. Next up, what you'll be actually playing on. Really, this is all you need. A single quarter of a single map sheet. That's it. You're just going to be having two mechs blast each other. The mindset that you want to have going into a learning game is that your mech is going to die. You're not even coming close to a mindset of wanting to crush the potentially new player. And you know what? Be ready to tell the other player how to destroy your mech. Give them that confidence. Help them figure it out. But before we actually get to looking at some of the details on how I might run a game, next up we'll look at the record sheets. So, obviously, that's a whole mess of information right there. First thing you tell the player that's learning, don't even worry about the bottom half of the sheet. We're not going to use internals. We're not going to use heat. We're just running the mechs, and we're going to start blasting. Now, just to keep the information out there. Basically, when it comes to armor, once the armor in the arm is gone, You don't have to worry about any of the internals down here. Basically, arm is gone, everything in it's gone, etc., etc. Now, what we'll see over here is going to be their stats. You want to keep it simple. Blackjack here, for example, has 2 large lasers and 2 medium lasers. 4 guns, but it's 2 pairs. Over here, we'll see a Wolverine. We have a medium laser, SRM6, and autocannon. The Wolverine's nice because it has one of each, pretty much missiles, bullets, and lasers. Now everyone's going to have different interests. You have the kind of real tough slow mechs. You have the tough quick mechs, and then you have we got the Phoenix Hawk right over there. We have the tough fast mechs. So they're all fairly close when it comes to their battle values. You'll see right here, Blackjack has 1,015 to Wolverine's 1,100. So you want to have them close, and I'd recommend sticking with medium mechs. Getting the heavy mechs and assault mechs, you're looking at a lot of guns, a lot of armor. Can really get bogged down on what could be the player's first game. Now, the next thing to do is have your player set up for success. Basically, you'll see here I have the modifiers listed, and then you also see this little reference chart here. I quickly jotted that down. Obviously, use a little bit better penmanship when in front of another player. But basically, I'll have all this information written on their record sheet. That way, they can easily look it over. Now, you'll see the walking, running, jumping mods are there. You'll see the range for short, medium, and long. Their mods are there. And then we'll also see right here how to figure out the modifiers. Now, Gator, on page 25 in the Battle Mech manual, it does a good job. There's a little box right there. It shows you all the information. But me personally, I like to have a little bit of a different order to it. So, you'll see that here. Basically, whether it's shooting or physical attacks, you start off with your gunner, then your mech, any terrain or range in between, and then the enemy mech's modifier. Real simple steps. I'll demonstrate that here in a second. From there, I also like to keep it simple with 3-4 gunnery and piloting skill, just so that way there's no issue. It's not going to be 4-5s where where tons of missed shots, things like that. 2-3 might even be a good option, just depending on how fast you want things to move. So now that the player has had a chance to pick the miniature they think looks cool, you've given them their record sheet, have their information prepared on their record sheet. Now we want to actually get things going, blast with some weapons and such. So Blackjack, that's one of my favorites. And then we'll just get the Griffin out here. This is where I'll then demonstrate how things work. So basically, we'll start off with just a most simple of demonstrations. Get your movement dice. Get the small numbers on there. So what we'll do is we'll see right here that I have 3 different colored dice over here on the blocks. I personally like to use the yellow and green for walking, the red and blue for running, and the blue for jumping. Keeps it real simple. Back when I started, we would do something like this. And some players do that. That's totally fine. It's just there's more dice on the table. Just whatever the player is comfortable with as they grow their efficiency and skill in Battletech. You have the number in the back that affects the player's the Battlemech's controller, and then you have the number on the front that affects the opponent. Or you just have a color for each movement speed, and then the number is for the opposing player. So as I mentioned, you have the gunner, so that'd be a 3. And because it's yellow, meaning walked, so 3 + 1. No intervening terrain. 3, 4, 5 for any short range attacks. And this is also a good place to show, especially on the Blackjack record sheet, where we have the medium lasers at medium range and the large lasers at short range. So 3, 4, 5 for the large lasers, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 for medium range, 7 for the medium lasers. Just a real quick basic demonstration on that. All you're doing is adding numbers between 1 and 6. Next up, I go through a brief demonstration of movement. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You jump 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you wanted to run like that, you can do whatever you want. Walk backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. However you want to do, you just show them how it works. Of course, you'll have your modifier board there, and that'll help give all the numbers. You want to make sure you have one for you, one for them. That way they can see how it all works. And then you get into the actual gameplay. Do not hesitate to simply say, if they're moving, if they move somewhere and they put down, don't try to get around them. If they moved out here, you're not doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and going right there. You're not doing that number to them. You want to be considerate, recognize this is a new player. Now, online, I've seen plenty of videos where they're doing a learning game of whatever game it is, and that happens. Some people have the mindset of, oh, well, they'll learn quickly because they got hit. No, there's nothing fun about that. You're here to blast the mechs. You could easily just simply go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go right there. Now you guys can kick each other, punch if you want, shoot your weapons. That way everyone gets a chance to do something, and you don't inadvertently make the new player feel like an idiot because you're now shooting them in the back. Because remember, we don't want to crush their confidence. Now, basically, you'll be playing, you'll get things going, and you're going to come to a moment, whether it's the first turn, whether it's the third turn, where the player's going to sit there, and they aren't going to count hexes, and they're just going to kind of stare at the board. That's where you maybe want to give them a chance to think for a moment, maybe kind of shuffle the record sheets, do something active so you're not like staring at them. And then when it's clear that maybe they're having some difficulty on a decision, that's when you chime in with, may I suggest something? Perhaps I can give you a perspective. You want to be considerate. You don't want to come off like, they just simply have no idea what they're doing. You want to say, hey, I can kind of show you along without making them feel like they don't have any idea. So that's when you suggest, oh, they're looking, we're this close together. They can figure out that getting shot in the back is going to be bad for them. But you can easily have them go 1, 2, 3, 4, have them kind of get out of the way, and then you can go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're still shooting. You're keeping it short ranges most likely. It gives them a chance to continue adding the numbers, get used to the patterns. Because that's really all Battletech is as well. I like that phrase of adding between 1 and 6. But really it's all patterns. You figure out your modifiers there, then you roll to do damage. You do the damage. Once it goes through, then you go to internals. Once you go into internals, you roll for criticals. If you hit a critical, you do a critical. It's all patterns as you go. It's like the damage transfer. Once your arm's gone, then it goes to the torso. You want to give them that flow and start understanding how all of the game flows together. When it comes to initiative, you as the person running the game will likely come upon a turn where you lose initiative. Don't do what's normal. Don't back off. Don't come flying over here as fast as you can in the woods, get the highest modifier you can. Don't do that. Make a seemingly silly move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give the player a chance. Maybe this player will see, oh, I can get behind you. Let them get there. Let it happen. That's the fun. You show up, you get to play, you blow up a mech. You added up the numbers yourself, you moved yourself, you rolled the dice and destroyed the mech yourself. It's a huge confidence boost. It's really going to inspire them. I can do this. Because like I was mentioning earlier, a lot of rule-heavy games like Battletech can be, if you want it to be that way, really kind of keep players hesitant of playing them. Now, let's say you're playing. It doesn't happen too often, but something happens. Whether you just haven't interacted with the rule in a long time, or perhaps a player wants to do something that you're not unsure of the order of. Do not go rule hunting. Don't flip open that rule book. Don't be hunting around for 5-10 minutes looking for a rule. Pick up your dice. 1d6. If you roll 1 through 3, yes. 4 through 6, no. Just keep it nice and simple. Whether if it happens and it's not in your favor, once again, oh well. It's anything negatively that happens to your mech and is a positive for them. That's what you're aiming for. You want to inspire confidence. Now that the game ends, hopefully they've had a chance to destroy whatever mech you were fielding. That's when you're gonna be saying your farewells and kind of going over some other information or inviting them to your Facebook group, Discord channel, a way to maintain communication. It might be good to have maybe some papers to hand out, things like that, that has information where to go. The actual Battletech website, bg.battletech.com. That way they can see the forums, they can see the free downloads, they can get access to those free record sheet packs and the rules for themselves. You just want to have that information available. Same as going to Sarna for the wiki pages. That way they can look and see what's happening, really get interested in it. Now, I would suggest starting them off in the clan invasion Civil War era. Now, if you think about it, back in the 90s, when the clan invasion rolled out, everything that had been going on was the Succession Wars tech, things like that. When the clans happened, you now have this whole new batch of mechs and weapons and all this other stuff that is new. Since we are currently going into the Ill Clan era, and clan tech is becoming normal to mix clan and airsphere tech, and then you also have new weapons and new mechs coming out, it might be good to start to involve mechs from those eras. Now you'll see that these mechs here, they have single heat sinks, things like that. But like I said earlier, I would still field this blackjack. I would still field the Griffins and Phoenix Hawks that I have in this stack here. You want to kind of shift newer players as you continue to talk to them and invite them to games towards those eras as kind of their baseline, as their normal. Because if you start them out in the Succession Wars and all they're using is intro tech, but they're really starting to love maybe the aesthetic of a lot of the Ill Clan era stuff, Dark Age and Ill Clan era stuff, that's going to be a steep learning curve. But if they're already coming in recognizing, oh, there's this advanced technology that exists already, they'll be able to start familiarizing themselves with it already. So that way, once they start rolling into experiencing it all together, it's not so much of a learning curve. So basically, from there, if you have your packet to hand out, if you have one of those, I have one that I hand out. Maybe they can take the record sheet home, kind of as a little souvenir, and basically, you'd maintain contact, invite them back. You can use Facebook you have the events, the events that you can set up, and players can see if they're coming or not. There's other ways to see about attendance using the polls in the Facebook posts, because the admins and mods can pin those to the featured area, so that way it's right there when people come into the page. So basically, you want to have everything ready to go, your minis, your record sheets, your map, your dice. You want to be able to clearly and easily explain the modifiers, explain the order of adding them together, explain the movement. You're only using the top half of that record sheet. We're not looking to get criticals and all the other stuff going in there. Way too much for a person's potentially first time playing. And once you have it all there, someone walks up, you can just give it a go. It's a really cool experience teaching players. And then there was one player that I taught him how to play years ago. And even fairly recently, he mentioned he was he was talking me up. He's like, yeah, he taught me how to play, and it was a good time learning it and figuring it out. So it's really cool to teach someone to play and they keep playing. But yeah, so basically this is how to teach someone, and then going forward we're going to get into a little bit of a remake on my other videos, because I'd like to teach the movement again, teach the movement with some of the newer sculpts, and then provide examples and really kind of offer perspectives and strategy things, ways to move to really protect yourself. But yeah, this has been nice getting back to it, and I'm interested in continuing to make videos. Thanks for coming by, and I will talk to you guys later.